15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Is that Shakespeare?
Nope, it's Geico.
Yeah, that's Shakespeare from one of his unpublished works. Oh, it be not for awakening. Nay, giveth thou the berries. For 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Nope, it's from Geico, because they help save people money.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but Geico got it from Shakespeare.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Geico knows there are many reasons why you ride. From the exciting adventure of the daily commute to the peace of mind that Geico always has your back with 24/7 access to claim service and legendary customer service. But Pamela Mund had one reason in particular.
My skin is extremely averse to most fabrics, except for the soft, buttery feeling of leather. Thankfully, I found my clan of leather lovers in the biking community. It's been life-changing.
Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
You're listening to Fox Sports Radio.
There had been some conversations about a possible restructuring of Aaron Rodgers' contract to free up that space for the Green Bay Packers, but reports say that was not done, and Aaron Rodgers and the Packers move forward with the contract at hand.
Obviously, Tom Brady is the North Star, is the guiding light when it comes to these things. And as we talked about yesterday, it looked like, Aaron Rodgers is going to kind of buy in. Now, we don't know if that adjustment would have been good or bad net for Aaron, but we know it would have been good for the team. And as far as I can see, this was the team deciding not to do this. The only reason Green Bay would decide not to do this, only one reason, is they do not want to further their commitment, to increase their commitment to Aaron Rodgers. And that's what this would have done. Whenever you kick that can down the road, you're effectively saying, hey, you'll be here next year. You'll be here the year after, and we can prorate it on down. This is Green Bay saying we're far from certain that Aaron Rodgers will be here even next year. Don't forget, a quarterback named Love is on the bench. When's the last time a first-round quarterback has sat on the bench, a second season even, without even being given a chance? It's one thing to get benched. He hasn't thrown a pass. Now, by all reports, he wasn't ready to throw a pass. But the reason this was a good pick, by most people's opinion, Love maybe had the most physical talent. He was right up there, top tier physical talent in the draft last year. But he wasn't. It was a project. He needed development. So what's the perfect situation? You got to start a quarterback who's aged or aging, maybe aged. But last year he would say no, and I would say he's right. What a year from Aaron Rodgers. We were skeptics coming in because the prior 4 years had been down. And it was a shocker. Now, some may say Jordan Love had something to do with that. I think he had to, but it could be a coincidence. And if that's the case, you kind of got to think, well, this is good. He's going to be mad again, so they'll get another good year out of Aaron Rodgers, 37 years old right now. Now, with Brady, we start thinking, oh, he's got 5 good years left, 6 good years. But other than Brady, what do we think? Who hasn't hit the wall by age 40? All right, Breeze kind of, I think he did. I mean, he still had good numbers, but so to me, this is Green Bay saying, we're not sure. It's going to be interesting to see how Aaron reacts. And I think as we go around the horn here, and we'll start with Fez, I think this is the question that we don't ask enough. Would you rather be good for a long time or great for a short time? Because this is about being good. Because they're not as good as they could be this year. They could be borderline great this year. They made the 13-3 conference finals 2 years ago. 13-3 conference finals last year. They're 2 wins away from a Super Bowl, and they seem to be doing nothing to increase their chances. Now, you might say, hey, it was just a roll of the dice. Couple interceptions, 1 pass before the half from Brady. Yeah, and what we've seen is Tampa Bay looking like this is some kind of action movie and bringing everyone back. It's like Ocean's 11. Right? Think about it. And Green Bay sitting there going, well, we re-signed our running back. So, but Green Bay's history is good, better than good. Now, you can say only 2 Super Bowls with Favre and Rodgers, or you can say victories, or you can say, wow, look at the consistency. Green Bay, I think, the 3rd best record this century. Where do you come down, Fez?
You got to feel Green Bay underperformed considering, that quarterback play. How often do you get 2 great Hall of Fame quarterbacks like that to only get 2 Super Bowls?
But does that say about Green? See, we're presupposing we know how good Aaron Rodgers is. Maybe what we know is Aaron Rodgers is like a Jeff George that has a little bit more team in his mind, but not much more, because Jeff George was a heck of a quarterback, right? How good was Dan Marino?
Oh, great quarterback.
So was it his fault or Don Shula's or whose? I don't know, right? But what I know is we can't presuppose. It can't be, hey, if Aaron Rodgers wins a Super Bowl, congratulations, you're awesome. And if he doesn't, that goddamn team?
Sure.
Why'd they fall short for you, Aaron?
And I have to tell you that this Aaron Rodgers this last year, talk about an outlying data point, because Aaron Rodgers was great for like 4 or 5 years. And then he was a pretty good quarterback for 4 or 5 years. And then all of a sudden, boom, he became the best quarterback in the league last year. What a shock.
To me, that is an indictment of Aaron Rodgers, because if it's just random, right? But if you look at, like, PFF does a good job. It's not just stats. They look at every play, and Aaron Rodgers had a score that was just so much better than the last couple years at PFF. So you finally get someone ruffling your feathers. You come in better shape by all accounts and have your best season in 5 years. That means you could have had that same season the last 4 years, but you didn't put in that last little bit of work that it took you being mad at someone to do. So, to me, the questions as we go to Jonas, Green Bay, good for decades or great, and they're choosing good. They're choosing to move on. Now, it's irony, obviously, that Aaron Rodgers was the guy waiting in the wings when Favre was there. It's hard for him to complain now, but if anything, he knows that team. I wouldn't want to necessarily play against him once this first year out of Green Bay, because it sounds like another reason to get in shape. I don't know if we'll be too old. Jonas, what's your main takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, as far as just Aaron Rodgers and the being good but not quite great, it's also the fact they've gotten to the conference championship game, 5 times? And I think he's 1-4, and he hasn't played all that great in those conference championship games.
Blame the team, Fez says. The
big discussion was he finally got one at home. He'd never had one at home. Well, he got it at home, and Tampa Bay rolled him. And then I look at the Jordan Love situation, and I say this. You don't move up in the draft to take that guy unless you really believe he's going to be the dude at some point soon. And it feels like this is the last year for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay.
Be sure to catch live editions of Straight Outta Vegas weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific on Fox Sports Radio and the iHeartRadio app.
What's up, everyone? It's me, 3-time NFL All-Pro Sean Merriman, and I have a new sports podcast called the Lights Out Podcast with Sean Merriman. This podcast is special to me as I get a chance to talk to some of the best who've ever done it on the field or the track. So whether it's talking to a Super Bowl champion or a NASCAR Cup Series champion, the Lights Out Podcast will bring it to you the only way I know how to. I'm giving you the best insight from the best who's ever done it. Listen to Lights Out with Sean Merriman on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcast.
Symptoms of overactive bladder, or OAB, may be bothersome. As many as 46 million Americans 40 years of age or older have reported symptoms of OAB.
I got to the point where I was constantly having to plan my outings around being able to go to the bathroom. Felt like my bladder was calling the shots.
Many people like her decided enough was enough. It was time to talk to a doctor. We spoke to a few of them to hear their stories in their own words. Listen in at oabmed.com and hear how they discovered Myrbetriq mirabegron extended release tablets.
Myrbetriq is a prescription medicine for adults used to treat OAB symptoms of urgency, frequency, and leakage. Do not take if you are allergic to Myrbetriq or its ingredients. Myrbetriq may increase blood pressure. Check your blood pressure and call your doctor if it has increased. Tell your doctor right away if you have trouble emptying your bladder or have a weak urine stream. Myrbetriq may cause an allergic reaction with swelling of the lips, face, throat, or tongue, or trouble breathing. If experienced, stop taking and go to the emergency room right away.
Myrbetriq may interact with other medicines. Tell your doctor if you are taking thioridazine, Mellaril and Mellaril-S, flecainide, Tampacor, propafenone, Rithmol, digoxin, Lenoxin, or sulfenacin, succinate, Vesicare. Tell your doctor if you have liver or kidney problems. Common side effects include high blood pressure, pain or swelling of the nose or throat, nasopharyngitis, urinary tract infection, and headache. See our ad in Reader's Digest magazine or call 1-855-697-2387.
Hear real stories about how Myrbetriq can help OAB symptoms at oabmed.com. And ask your doctor if it could help you. That's oabmed.com.
Hey, it's Roy Wood Jr. from The Daily Show with Trevor Noah and host of the new podcast, Beyond the Scenes. In each episode, I, along with Daily Show correspondents, writers, and producers, dig deeper into your favorite segments. We talk about how the show comes together, what we left on the cutting room floor, and where we're at now with these issues. We're talking about topics like police violence, sex robots, gun control, and so much more. Listen to Beyond the Scenes starting on July 20th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
To me, LeBron is more like Kareem. And Kareem is someone who's kind of a little lost to the modern fan. But, I mean, this was maybe at a certain point considered the best player of all time. He was literally like the third best player on a finals team when he was like 42 years old. Kareem was another era when it came to, he did yoga, martial arts. I mean, the hook shot. He was a unique, brilliant fellow, but he certainly was a one-offer. And I'm not saying that's LeBron. I'm just saying Kareem's stats over all that time. That's the scoring champion that LeBron's chasing. And Kareem had titles. I think he had 4 exactly, if I'm not mistaken. But he played in a bunch and lost a bunch. It's the accumulated stat. If you're going to say who's had the most accomplishments in a career, I think LeBron maybe is going to get that one. But that never was what Jordan was. Jordan was the greatest player of all time, the GOAT. That during an extended height pinnacle, it's not a Gale Sayers for 2 years thing. Extended pinnacle, he was the best player ever to step on the court. I don't think that one's debatable, but if you're anti-LeBron, like I'm kind of am, at least in that debate, you got to give him credit for the 20. I mean, and plus, who knows? He might play with his son or whatever you hear. He might play another 5 years. He might kill all those records. I don't think, though, Fez, we can act like it's a coincidence that he's had 2 major injuries. Maybe he had that week, or I think it was like 2 weeks he took off when he needed a vacation about 4 or 5 years ago with Cleveland, like right around January or February. They said he was hurt, but who knows? 2 of his most major injuries, if not most major, have now happened in the last 2 of the last 3 years. I mean, he's a human being. This feels like it's a sign of vulnerability that as he gets older, he's going to get hurt more.
Yeah, and it all goes back to you talking about Golden State and all those extra minutes they played in the playoffs and who's put more miles in during the playoffs than LeBron over these years as well.
I mean, let me say this finally. Kareem actually had 6 rings. I didn't know that. Wow. 6 rings. 5 with the Lakers, 1 with the Bucks. He was a one-man team with the Bucks. Huh. Oh, by the way, coincidentally, LeBron had 8 points once in 2011, but that was just the finals against the Mavs. We don't want to count that one. But imagine that Tom Brady was in the Super Bowl, and imagine he was doing something. What would the analogy be? Let's say he was doing something before the game that I don't even know what the analogy. Usually, I thought I had one here. Maybe I won't even try for the analogy. I'll just one more time kind of state, like, do we get what's happening here? LeBron James is hurt. He knows he's hurt. He knows in his mind that he hasn't gotten 10 points. Now that, you got to wonder about that to start with. And he tells the coach, I know I'm hurt. If someone steps on this ankle, it could extend this injury. Who knows on a jump shot what's going to happen with a hurt ankle. But I want to take this shot, and this will not in any way, it will probably hurt us to win this game. Because odds are he wasn't going to make it.
Yeah.
Right? On one leg.
Can't play defense.
But accept the fact that I'm going to hurt the team here, and accept the fact that I'm going to increase the chance of injuring this again or exacerbating the injury, aggravating it, whatever, because I want to get some record hardly anyone knows about, which is I've scored 10 points since 2007 or 8. It really is the most selfish thing I've seen. And anyone that can question that LeBron said, I'm going to hurt the Lakers' chances to win a title for this, you're wrong.
Be sure to catch live editions of Straight Outta Vegas weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific.
Now serving B24 at DMV window number 7.
Okay, Jim, we're next in line. Perfect, Jim. Things are going very smoothly. You remembered the cell phone bill?
Yes, and the birth certificate.
Nice. We'll have a real ID in no time. That's right. Ready to fly to Carla's graduation and then the big game. Real great work, Jim. You too, Jim.
Excuse me, are you talking to yourself?
Now serving B25 at window number 10.
That's our cue, Jim. Excuse us.
Talk yourself into Real ID readiness by May 3rd, 2023. Make a plan at dhs.gov/Real ID.
I think a lot of us have had a moment that seems to change everything. Change is this ever-present force shaping our lives. But how does it really work? That's the question at the center of my new podcast, A Slight Change of Plans. I'm Dr. Maya Shankar. I'm a cognitive scientist who spent the last 2 decades studying how our minds work and how we change. In this podcast, I'll be having intimate, revealing conversations. You'll hear stories from Tiffany Haddish, Hillary Clinton, and Casey Musgraves. You'll also hear from a woman who left a religious cult and a Black jazz musician who convinced dozens of KKK members to leave the Klan. All of them have lived through extraordinary change. I hope you'll come away thinking differently about change in your own life. Listen to A Slight Change of Plans on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen.
Paper Ghosts returns with an investigation into a tragedy that took place deep in America's heartland in a tucked-away Ohio town where a massive farmhouse belonging to a wealthy family erupted in flames.
The flames are everywhere.
All 4 residents inside were dead, and not a single person died from the flames or smoke. So the question becomes, what killed them? Or, more importantly, who?
My brother says, Carol, something's up. There is too much blood.
This season, I'm not chasing a missing persons flyer. I'm chasing a wanted poster.
That's how the mob works. They don't leave anybody.
I didn't want nobody to know what I was doing, because if they did, I wouldn't have lived till next day.
Listen to Paper Ghosts on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Best bet time from Steve Fezzik as we go to the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament.
Come on, baby, $80,000.
Stop on Florida State +3 against Michigan. Now I'm fading the Big Ten. This is obvious. The Big Ten has had a terrible tournament. Michigan's the only remaining team. Thus, I think Michigan got overvalued playing all the Iowas.
Hold on a second. So what does Ken Palm say this should be, Mackenzie? Check it. We're assuming they've gotten overvalued. Give me a gauge of what this line would have been and what it is now. I'm thinking the line's moved drastically is what I'm thinking.
It has. Ken Palm would have made this game 6.
Okay, and the current line?
3.
So I'm confused. How much do you downgrade the Big Ten?
3 points.
6 minus 3. I'm going to do this in my head. Okay, it's lined up.
Exactly right. But what doesn't line up...
And let's be clear real quick. So what Fez is saying is, hey, Big Ten's losing a bunch. It means the Big Ten's not as good as we thought. I agree 100% with him. We talked about it at length yesterday. Now he's saying because of that, at least I thought he was, we're going to bet against the Big Ten. But then my thought was, how's the market reacted to the Big Ten's poor performance? And now we're saying Ken Palm, which is a power rating that people trust, that says it should be 6. It's 3, which means, hey, there's been a 3-point downgrade. That's gigantic. That's more than I think it should be. But you thought it should be 3? Okay. Now what?
Florida State is undervalued. Now,
so why'd we talk about all the other stuff then? The Big Ten, you're saying the Big Ten factor here is not relevant. Or do you think it is? If so, you got to make your case.
I think it's priced into the market as you
So why'd you lead with it?
Because it's the obvious part. And now here's the not obvious part.
But the obvious part's what you skip, not what you lead with. But go ahead.
All right, Florida State is undervalued. They just beat a Colorado team by almost 20 points. And that's an impressive win under any circumstance. But the Pac-12, RJ, is 9-1 straight up and against the spread in this tournament.
I'm betting against
and
you.
Florida State beat one of the best teams in the Pac-12, handily, they're undervalued.
Betting against you. Crossfire, baby. This is simple. Michigan is going to be so focused on redemption. This is the ultimate, no one believes in us. You're the last. This is like the last at the Alamo. And this will be you, the master of trying to find how motivation goes from 10 to 11. Wouldn't this be, in fact, I'll give you 20 seconds. Spin this that how motivated Michigan's going to be.
Max motivated.
That's your spin?
Well, they're max motivated against LSU. They were hearing all this before the LSU game about how overrated the Big Ten was. They won. They covered. They played a good game.
That's about all you can do. That's about all you can do. He goes, well, they kind of won and they covered. He's like, yeah, they did. The Quinella. That's all we can do. To me, this is an overreaction. Whenever something happens where there's a 1-5 run, how could that be worth 3 points? How is that worth 3 points? I think that's overvalued. I kind of get your point. Hey, if you beat a Pac-12 team, that says something. But how much is that? What do we upgrade the Pac-12? 1.5 points, 2 points at the most?
Oh, I think you got to upgrade them 3 points.
All right, well.
They're exceeding expectations by 13, RJ.
Well, unfortunately, we've got a hard stop. We've bet it. You got, quickly?
Florida State +3.
And I got the other side.
Fox Sports Radio has the best sports talk lineup in the nation. Catch all of our shows at foxsportsradio.com. And within the iHeartRadio app, search FSR to listen live.
The only thing better than grinding all night for your side hustle is your roommate picking you up with Mickey D's breakfast. The perfect pickup deal.
There's a deal for every morning at McDonald's.
Right now, taste breakfast perfection when you get a warm and savory sausage McMuffin with egg for just $2.50. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with combo meal.
This is Miami's own DJ EFN, co-host of the Drink Champs podcast on the Black Effect Podcast Network and iHeartRadio. Every week, Nori and I sit down with the most legendary artists, producers, and icons in the music industry and the culture at large. So if you like to hear some legendary stories, learn some hip-hop history, or just want to have a good laugh, make sure you go to subscribe to Drink Champs on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.